Hello, this is Justin back with an engineer's perspective, and I'm doing a mini review on this knife here. This is the 170mm Santoku in R2 from Takamura. The knife is 170mm on the blade, at the heel 46.5mm tall and 1.6mm thick. It weighs 5 ounces or 143 grams. Handle on this is a very nice looking rosewood, triple riveted in the Western style there. It has a welded on bolster that is polished and very nice to the touch. You're not completely seamless, but very nice, definitely in line with any Wusthof knife that you're used to. That level of fit and finish for sure. Love the look of that rosewood. It's very pretty looking while also being very understated. Balance point is going to be right here on that transition, right where it ought to be for something like this, leading for a just fantastic light feel. 5 ounces. It's a very thin, definitely laser class blade. Very good feeling in the hand, very light and nimble. Steel on this guy is a SG2, or Takamura refers to it as R2. They heat treat that to a 63-64 Rockwell target. As I mentioned, this is a kind of laser class knife, meaning very thin at the spine, very thin grind, and blindingly thin edge, like you would not believe. It was quite difficult to measure the behind the edge thickness, but we're talking on the order of just a few thousandths thick behind the edge. I wrote down 1,000th, and we're at like 11 degrees per side. Blindingly sharp. It's really, really fantastic. That said, you can see how thin that bevel is there at 11 degrees per side. That said, this is not going to be for everyone. This is relatively delicate geometry. I'm not saying you have to baby it, but you do need to be conscious. We'll go through a few ingredients. You can see how I use it. Anything else I want to mention on this before we go into it? I don't think so. So we'll just cut a few ingredients. First, I wanted to show food release. The grind is slightly convexed. It does stick, but this is quite a bit better, much better, I'll say, than any regular flat ground knife. Think Wusthof or I'm trying to think of like a Japanese knife, probably your Miyabi's. Anyways, here's a cucumber. So, like I said, it definitely does stick. However, if you're cutting something like potatoes, they are just easy to peel off versus having to like slide them. But very nice. You can see I was doing kind of a chopping motion versus the rock chop. You can rock chop with this, but you're way beyond the capacity on something like a cucumber. Also got some celery here. And so I've actually been using this knife for my big meal preps just because I've been enjoying it so much. And so you can see you can rock chop if you want. But I don't really recommend that, especially with this level of geometry, because what will tend to happen is, even though I'm being very light-handed with it, I'm letting the weight of the knife, which isn't much, do the work. You'll still tend to get some rolls and chips in this section of the blade, which I do have a few of them. So I don't really recommend the rock chop. I recommend your normal Japanese style chopping motion. The profile on this blade is just very classic Japanese inspired Western of nice, plenty flat in the back for your up and down chopping where you're not going to accordion anything, but just a little bit of curve up here just to give you a little bit of rock if you want to transition into something real quick, or if you're working on like fresh herbs. I do like to do the rock chop. Very nice profile there. Positive heel, but it doesn't hit hard or anything. So perfect profile. I don't have any big carrots because we just cooked some big soups, but just listen, just see this. And you see how easy that was to go through that carrot. This is showing off some hard ingredients, and so you can just kind of watch and listen. I mean, just effortless. Incredible. Very, very incredible feeling knife, and just high performer. I have used this on potatoes. It's amazing. I've also used this on sweet potatoes. The sweet potatoes is pushing it quite hard. They were some of the hardest freaking sweet potatoes I'd ever come up against. But I did push through it, downward motion. It does work. Even with the laser grind though, it's not going to guarantee you're going to get through butternut squash. I wouldn't recommend that for this knife, but can be done if you're paying attention. So price on this one is $160 US as of the recording of this video. And for sharpening with all Japanese knives, I tend to recommend stropping it weekly, if not more frequently, on a 1 micron diamond emulsion on leather, or just green compound if you can, if that's all you've got, excuse me. And then sharpening it about once a month to every 3 months, depending on your preferences and usage. I have stropped this several times and kept it plenty sharp. I did put my own edge on it. For SG2, I prefer a 1,000 to 3,000 grit edge, and then stropped after that. And I used this Chaucera 3K and stropped it on 1 micron diamond and leather. Edge that came up was tree-toppingly sharp. This is a very, very nicely heat-treated steel with very good geometry. Takamura does a fantastic job. These are incredible value. Who are these for? These are not for, or this knife is not for the home cook or professional cook that isn't paying attention to their knife usage. However, if you just pay attention, I mean, and you can move fast with this, but if you're just using it intentionally is all I will say, this knife is for you. You won't regret it. It's not going to do every task in the kitchen, but every realistic daily task, it's going to be incredible at. And I do really, really recommend you check this out if you think you're ready for this kind of just blindingly sharp geometry. Oh yeah, here's the box it comes in. Nothing too special. That's all I've got for today. Have a good one.